All right, welcome to the Runners Live. It is Tuesday, May 24th, 2022. Tonight, we're going to talk about the fourth turning and the crisis that we are currently living through. Thank God, as always, I have my good brother here, Ricardo Hamilton. What is going on, Ricardo? And, bro, I'm just excited to teach some people some real history.
Yeah, it gets excited, man. You know me, constantly, continuously, consistently building wealth, precious metal assets, and crypto. And I mean, we always talk about the problem, and I think, people can't really appreciate the solution that we've been telling people for a very long time until they really start to grasp the magnitude of what it is that we're living in and what we're going through and how it relates to them and the correlation. So now, man, we get to teach the people tonight.
Absolutely perfect.
Nailed it once again, as he always does. So real quick, guys, I want to lay the scene here and make sure everyone kind of knows what we're talking about. And we're going to get into it in a little bit more detail. But we're talking about a book called The Fourth Turning by William Strauss and Neil Howe. And it's basically what they did is they looked back in history and they saw that certain cycles tend to repeat. You know, they often say history doesn't repeat, but it rhymes. And kind of the meme that came out of this, and just to kind of set some of the time periods, is hard times create strong men. So kind of the beginning of this turning was the Great Depression and World War II. And then you have strong men create good times. This would kind of be like the post-World War II era, happy days, 1950s. Everybody is kind of conforming and, following along because they saw how bad it was when we didn't. And then you have good times create weak men. So this would kind of be the the hippie movement of the 60s, where people are challenging the authority and they're kind of saying, we're going to do whatever we want. We don't need to listen to you. And then, let's see, I got this a little bit too blown up. And then, we kind of talked about male-female dynamics last week, and we see now men are becoming very weak. And that is why we're getting these hard times now. So, Ricardo, it's not that we're here for any sort of doom and gloom. In fact, as I did more research on this, it's actually, I think, the best time to be alive, because this is when the important things happen. The most monumental change happens in this crisis turning period. So before we go any deeper, get into the markets, what's your perspective, from what you know when it comes to this fourth turning and the cycles that we are in human history?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, Mike, history, if it doesn't repeat itself, they say it rhymes. And what we're seeing right now, it's not something that's new. It's not something that haven't been foretold or prophesied in different cultures and ways around the world. There's nothing new under the sun. And a lot of things that we're seeing are actually engineered. Some people think that the things that are going on just happen to be some random things because of some random things that people did, based on the situation that we were handed. But everything was actually designed and engineered in this fashion. And when we're looking at, when you go back far enough, you're starting to see the rhythm. You're starting to see how things are looking like they used to, so when we're talking about, the market crash, the market crashes every decade or so. So it's not hard to go back and see, well, how does the market crash and why does the market crash? Even with the central bank that we have with the Federal Reserve, it's not the first central bank in this country. It's not the first examples of what happens when a nation does not control its money supply. This is why foreign powers and elite and families want to control humanity and governments through the money, through the food, through your politics. And they understood that. And so this is the same age-old, the many versus the few and the few versus the many. You have people who want to enslave humanity, and you're seeing the cycles of it continue to take place. It's that battle of good versus evil, principalities and powers in high places that, affect us physically. And so we're just experiencing something that is is not new. It's engineered, and the sooner that people wake up to it and see what's going on, the better chances that they can make sure their bloodline transcends to see the next era of great men and great times.
I couldn't agree more, Ricardo. And as I was studying this, out of World War II, we got the modern structure that has kind of guided us. So we got the United Nations, we got NATO, we got the IMF and the World Bank, we got the World Health Organization. But what we see happens in the crisis is people stop believing those institutions. I can't think of another time in American history where people distrust the media more, where people distrust their own government. We're not going to get into what was said in the last 2 years of this pandemic, but pretty much now everyone has awoken to the fact we were lied to on multiple levels with multiple things. Yeah. So now the question is, Ricardo, again, we're not here to talk about the negative thing. We're here to talk about the positive things that can happen during these times, because there is going to be a reshuffling. Is it going to be the Great Reset, where the World Economic Forum and Klaus Schwab takes control of us? Or is it the Great Awakening, where we come together as humanity to unite people in love? And so that's what we get excited about. But again, we have to know how to move and survive and thrive in these trying times.
Yep, without a doubt. And we talk about, problem, reaction, solution, but instead of the solution that they want to offer you, we're going to chart our own course.
That's it. So guys, real quick at the markets again, just to document this journey. Gold, again, is the number one asset in the entire world. It's not even close. But how much gold do you and your neighbors own compared to the wealthy, the corporations, the banksters, the other countries in the world? They're still buying it all up. But most people have not even started. All they have is a bank account and dollars.
Yep. I think it's so huge that everybody needs to be getting physical gold right now. Everybody. They just changed the rules, folks. Not necessarily just, but gold is a tier 1 asset. It will never go to zero. It's accepted 100% for value. Central banks, governments around the world, they're buying and holding more gold than ever because they understand something that the masses of people don't. That gold is money, not paper, not debt, but gold. Go ahead, Mike.
All right, then we have some stocks: Apple, Microsoft, Google. Number 6 is silver at $22 an ounce, which again is just insane. We're going to keep saying it, even though we've said it 1,000 times, Ricardo. All markets are rigged, but the one that's rigged the most is silver. It's been verified by the Department of Justice. Multiple banks, including JP Morgan Chase, have pled guilty to fraud of rigging the markets. Don't get mad, guys. Back up the truck. Back up the truck on silver.
Yep.
Silver's all-time high is $50. We're having the biggest inflation of our lifetimes, and silver is on a 50% sale.
And what people need to realize, now I got to touch on it because silver is not just some metal, folks. It not only does it have properties that are, conducive to our technological new era economy that we're moving into, but it's an industrial metal. You have to understand that this will always have value. There are things that you want to hold that will always have value and have an increasing demand in value, especially if that is where the economy is moving. Silver is the most undervalued physical asset on the planet. It's just as important as oil or data, okay? Because the economy that we live in today and the future that we're moving into does not function without these precious metals, without silver, okay? So not only do you have a strategic asset, but it's also money. Silver is money, constitutional money, gold and silver, Article 1, Section 10, right? Gold, God's money, gold and silver, Genesis to Revelations, historically, and we're going to get into that, but it's just not enough people really understand why they need more physical gold and silver. They want to speculate in volatile, risky assets and financial instruments, but not enough people, like you said, Mike, are backing up the truck or loading up that sound money wallet if they have it. And those everybody who needs it, right? Book gold and silver. It's next level, and everybody needs to get these assets. Go ahead, brother.
All right, let's see. Where were we here? So, guys, that's it. Back up the truck on silver. Bitcoin at 10 right now. Real quick in the crypto markets. Market caps under 1.3. Bitcoin at about $29,000. Again, guys, if you've been following us, we told you guys 3 months ago, get ready to exit the market. We said in May, go away. Mm-hmm. We had our community ready. We were very open about it. We said there is no reason that we can see this market's going to go up. I think Bitcoin's going to go to at least 20,000, probably 12. And again, we got to think about, if we're going through this crisis moment, what has survived every civilization, every empire for the last 10,000 plus years? So Ricardo, again, yeah. maybe I'm not smart.
I'm right there with you.
And was Saudi America around during the independent, Revolutionary War? Was Apple? Was right. Microsoft? Google?
Right.
Amazon? Tesla? Facebook? Johnson & Johnson? No, none of these were. This is where people's wealth is at. These are the top assets in the entire world. Palladium has been around forever. You want to buy some palladium, go for it. But none of these things were here. Pfizer. How is Pfizer still around? I don't know, but don't get me started. So again, Ricardo, anything you just want to add about, we got to focus on what works.
Yeah, I agree with you in the crypto space. I'm very bullish on, XRP. I'm hearing a lot of good news out there, even in Davos right now. They're talking about, Brad Garlinghouse and Ripple I think XRP is something that everybody should have some exposure to, especially at the valuations that it is now. I'm hearing some very bad news on Tether. And I'm telling you, if they take down Tether, we definitely will see Bitcoin back to 12. Okay. Tether is over 50 billion. It just lost 20 billion. It was at 75 billion maybe last week or so. And it just lost about $20 billion. It's still holding its peg right now. But there's some bad news coming. It's an opportunity long term, but I don't know if most people are going to have the stomach to ride that wave out, okay? Because we're talking about a few years, all right? If that is the case. But this is why we said that you in the short term, medium, and long term, you got to have a solid foundation. That starts with gold and silver. You got to have that peace of mind. If you only in dollars and all you have is crypto, you're still a disaster waiting to happen. You got to have a foundation in physical gold and silver and numismatic coins.
And before I get into this next point, if you guys are watching right now, okay, like this video, share it out, and right now in the chat, give me a silver for freedom. Hashtag silver, the number 4 freedom, okay? We have been consistent on this message. You think you are saving silver, but it's going to be silver that saves you. This is the only way we can win. It's the only way we can take back our power from the government. It's the only asset you can own that has a zero risk liability or zero counterparty risk. Right. The only assets are precious metals. And what I would say is, in the crypto market, if you are not willing to hold a crypto coin for 3 years right now, you probably have no business owning it. Trust me, things are going to get worse in the crypto space. People are going to get more negative. I've been through the market cycle. It's going to happen. So if you are not going to hold something for 4 years, get rid of it. And going back to Ricardo's point, is I was saying that whole time we were in the crypto bull market and prices were going up. And I would try to tell people in the crypto, like, you should get some gold and silver. You should get a home-based business with gold and silver. Oh, no, man, I'm making so much money in crypto. I'm like, bro, you are crazy. Crazy. If you are putting a significant amount of your wealth into crypto and you don't have a solid base of gold and silver. Ricardo, anything you want to add with just that sentiment of how you have to start with things that have been around for 10,000 years and are physically held and have real world uses over 10,000 when it comes to silver?
Look, you want to be in the undervalued markets, okay? You don't want to be in a market that's oversaturated. And also, you want to be with some of the best companies on the planet if you can. And I'm telling you, when it comes to gold and silver, there is no company out there that's doing what 7K is doing. And you want to position yourself early with that because this company's having exponential growth. Okay, just broke over 5 years. And I'm telling you, what they're doing is something that will be talked about, for decades. It is a legacy company. It's going to be a household name. And I think everybody needs exposure to 7K metals. And of course, that comes with gold and silver and numismatic coins. This is the time to make sure that a wealthy family comes from you. And one of the ways, the major ways you're going to do that is by making sure that you have a home-based business that's going to allow you to create cash flow by building wealth in assets like physical gold, silver, and numismatic coins. There is nothing else out there. We look for the companies. We look for the opportunities. And there is, this is unsaturated in regards to businesses, home-based businesses, lucrative compensation plan, okay, that's going to allow you to do what you need to do in these times that are, unorthodox and very scary for a lot of folks, but very reassuring for those who know what time it is and know what to do.
Couldn't agree more, brother. And Alan asked, do we know how many people are on 7K? The last rough estimate I heard, don't quote me on this, but I heard we're around 60,000. But that's probably changed because the company is experiencing such growth. The last 3 months have been the biggest growth months they've ever had.
Understand that is nothing. That is nothing. That's baby talk when you compare it to a lot of these platforms that people are in that don't have what this company has. You see, the world hasn't woke up to 7K metals yet. They haven't woke up to the value of gold and silver and numismatic coins. Because they're speculating in these risky assets, which I speculate. I'm into crypto, but I have the foundation and understanding of why I need to hold physical gold and silver, why I need a 7K metals membership home-based business, and why I need to have numismatic coins for my offensive strategy. When you know better, you do better. And a lot of people are getting hurt. They're getting burnt in the crypto market because they just thought it was going to keep going up 100,000 to 1 million, right? And they don't understand that what a bear market is because they're new to this crypto space. But seasoned investors understand what a bear market is. They know when to go away. Okay, they know when to cash out and sit on cash. And so this is what we want to help people understand is that the first thing you need to do, like saving, is making sure you get some physical gold and silver numismatic coins, and that starts with 7K. It's next level.
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Good stuff, Ricardo. So while we're on it, you reminded me. I'm doing this every Tuesday, every live. Normally I do $50, but this week, Ricardo, I think I'm doing $100.
Nice.
So I have lots of silver, but I need to up my gold game a little bit. So real quick, I'm just going to buy $100 of gold, which if I didn't have 7K, I couldn't just buy $100 of gold going on my computer. I'd have to at least get 1/10 of an ounce and then have it shipped to me and pay shipping and handling. But now I don't have to do that. I have it stored in my own private vault, and I can have it delivered to myself at any time. So this is, again, just one of the many membership benefits when it comes to 7K metals. Now, Ricardo, I wanted to get into a little bit deeper into the 4 turnings and just look at a few of these. So, for example, real wages and productivity on the bottom here. Okay, we have the first turning, right? The 50s and 60s. Technology's happening. Everyone's getting new stuff, and then in the second turning, we have a slowing down, maybe like the late 60s and 70s, when there were supply shortages and gas shortages and inflation was very high. Then we have the third turning, where this is probably like the 90s and the dot-com boom. And then we had the early 2000s with the housing boom. And then in the 2010s, we had the Federal Reserve doing quantitative easing so that there was fast growth. And now what are we seeing now? Disruption and reset. Is it the Great Reset or the Great Awakening? We get to decide. The people living now are the most important people in the four turnings. They're the ones that set the next level, that decide what is the next turning. Is it power by the elites or is it power by the people? So Ricardo, your thoughts there on just what we saw of the real wages.
Can you hear me, Mike?
Yep.
I think I got kicked out. Bring me in. I don't know if they can see me. I'm on the sidelines. Can you add me to the show?
I can see you and hear you. You're good.
Oh, I'm on both ends? Okay. All right, cool. So on my side, I'm having some issues. But no, folks, I've said it over and over that, we are living in the most significant time period in history, and that's the truth. That's a fact of the matter. There hasn't been any more important time in history than the times that we're in right now, when you realize the technological advancements we've made, the connections that the internet and social media has allowed us to get, the level of consciousness, awareness, and education that people find themselves at where we are today, the connectedness of the world. Folks, never in any period in time in history has the world been so connected. Have we been so advanced? Never in a time period in history also has the world been full of debt. Every country, pretty much, okay? Every country is in debt. Global debt is a problem. The derivatives market is a problem. And the whole world is tied to it. And so we are at this endpoint. We are at the beginning of something new and at the end of something as well. And so, this is why we say, this is an opportunity to make sure that a wealthy family comes from you, even if you didn't come from a wealthy family. Okay? By understanding the magnitude of where we are and doing the right things, because folks, it's not a small thing to get gold and silver. It's huge that you're getting gold and silver right now. That's real money throughout history. In the Roman times, a soldier used to work a whole day's worth of work, and he would get 1/10 of an ounce of silver, which was a denarius. Okay, we're buying ounces of silver, ounces of gold. We're able to leverage what Mike just showed you, the Sound Money wallet, securing your money by gold and silver and having it adjust to the value of gold and silver and getting it physical, or being able to convert it back into cash at the press of a button, or very soon in the near future, have your Sound Money wallet tied to a credit card. So now we've made gold and silver liquid. We're solving the challenges and problems that people have with real money, God's money, with this company 7K's next level, folks. This is not a small thing. This is huge. So many people are not taking advantage of what's in front of them, what's available to them, because they just don't understand.
That's why you rock with Ricardo Hamilton, guys, right there. Just speaking to the people the truth that they need to hear right now. And again, we just want to help as many people as possible. And this next one, Ricardo, I kind of thought of the runners here, right? Is let's look at just the social priority, okay? The first turning, the maximum community, right? This is kind of like the 50s of conformity. Everyone was like, let's just all be the same so we don't have to go back to what we were doing, because they learned those lessons. Then you have rising individualism, right? The hippie movement of the 60s, libertarian movement. Then you have maximum individualism, right? I'm special just because I'm me. You have to call me by this pronoun or I'm going to freak out and scream and cry. And then we have the fourth turning of rising community. This is why the runners happened organically. This is why we're still here. This is why our community is growing and evolving, because we don't want to focus on the government for the solutions. The people have the solutions. When you give that power over to the government, you're not going to get solutions. You're going to get more problems. But during this time of the crisis is when the next era will be set. What is that era going to look like? And that's why it's so important that we find these decentralized solutions, these companies that are solid legacy companies that are helping people acquire rare and beautiful artwork that is limited and goes up over time. So Ricardo, your take on the social priority shifting from maximum conformity to a rising community and what that means in this digital age where people are connecting in all sorts of different ways all over the globe to beat back this globalist fascism, corporatism that is trying to take over the world right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's something that they can't stop, and that's a problem for them, which is evolution. Human beings' ability to evolve in consciousness and in relation to one another is a problem for them. And they've been trying to control behavior through media. That's why I love that shirt, Mike. I don't know who flexed that shirt for them. Okay, the propaganda machine is a real thing. Social engineering by Edward Bernays is a real thing. And they have been wanting, they're coming out. Joe Biden wanted to have the Ministry of Truth. Okay, they wanted, let's go, Brandon, right? They wanted to, determine what's true, what's false, what's fact, and what's fiction, right? As if we don't have the critical thinking skills, the analytical thinking skills, the brain of our own to determine what is relative to our reality and what we want to believe and accept and see in our world and in our surroundings. So this is something that they have a problem with. But obviously, like we talked about, we're evolving. Human consciousness is going to higher levels and they can't stop that. And so their propaganda machine isn't working because of that social collaboration that we're talking about, that movement of people waking up and rising to the reality and the lies that we've been told, right? And the biggest lie of them all, once again, is about money and the Federal Reserve and the central bank, because the problem is that everybody's been enslaved through the dollar. The dollar is a unit of debt that we pay back at interest to a private central bank, to unelected people, okay? And they're enslaving us through taxation and inflation. And it never should have been that way. But not just here, it's the whole world that's on a debt-based fiat monetary system. And so the central banks have enslaved the world, and we work for them, and we pay that interest. We pay that back, and we pay it back through sweat and equity and taxes and everything else. So the number one problem is the money system. That's the root of it, because that affects everybody, black, white, Jewish, Christian, Muslim, it doesn't matter. And so that's why most people need to understand why you need God's money, why you need constitutional money, why you need sound money, gold and silver, and why you need to give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. So give him that dollar, go ahead, give him that Federal Reserve note, give rid of that paper and exchange it for God's money, gold and silver, so that you can have a future that is going to be prosperous and laid with some wealth, as opposed to debt and enslavement.
Clip that right there, guys. That was absolute fire. That's worth the price of admission if this was $50 right now. And Ricardo, when you were talking, what I want to go back on, being a history teacher, is let's look at that generation in the Great Depression and World War II. What lessons can we learn from them? If you were lucky enough to have a grandparent or a great-grandparent during that time, my grandpa was in the CCC during the Great Depression. What did they do? They canned food. They stored food because they went through those hard times. So those are the lessons we need to be implementing right now. Do you have, rations or MREs or extra food to survive? Do you know how to grow, gardens or grow vegetables in a garden? That during that time, they didn't publicize it because there wasn't social media. but they were getting gold and silver. Now, a lot of people will say, well, FDR took away all the gold. Yeah, he put out an executive order. Very few people listened to him. They were like, yeah, right, chump. You think I'm going to give you my gold? But they learned that that was the only way to get out of the banking system, was to have real gold and real silver. And the last thing they did is they formed communities. If you look at a lot of the nonprofits and other organizations that came up, they started during those times when people were struggling and they needed to unite together in their own local communities. Now that we have the internet, we're doing this on scale, which I'm not going to show it, but I'm looking at this, Ricardo, in technology. In the fourth turning, the technology is taken to scale, which is what we're doing now. So, Ricardo, your takes on the lessons we can learn from that generation that was in the Great Depression and World War II, and how those hard times made them strong and able to withstand anything.
Well, look, these are the facts, folks. You can't survive past 3 days without water, okay? You need clean drinking water. You need a way to purify that water. So you need to know what the groundwater is. You need to know how to purify that water for you to be able to drink it. I mean, folks, if there's something goes wrong with the electricity or a cyber attack or something, the pump stop working, you're going to turn on that faucet and realize ain't no water coming out. Do you know how to get clean drinking water? Do you know how to purify it? Right? Do you know how to source rainwater? Okay. Look, it's coming down to vegetables, right? Do you know how to grow your produce? Do you know what time of the season do you grow certain produce? Do you know what a local farm is? Right? I mean, and then of course, security. So we're talking about food, we're talking about water, food, and security. Do you have a way to protect yourself and your family, your assets? Because understand, not everybody is tapping into that consciousness of, community, peace, and love. Okay. There's some people who, when the lights go out, they ready to knock somebody's head over and take what you got. Are you ready to protect what you got and yourself and your loved ones? That's what it's coming down to, and when it comes down to being able to do business and trade and have options and needing resources and money to leave, well, that's why you got to have something of real value that's not digital, okay? Outside of the digital system. The dollar is not even, it ain't enough dollars, okay? It's all digital anyway. We already got a digital dollar. You opening up your checking account, it's online, that's digital. Ain't enough cash. Everybody try to go to the bank right now and get all their cash out the bank. It's not there, okay? Try to pull out more than $10,000. It ain't there. They're going to have to order the cash, okay? It's all digital anyway. So when the cyber attack or whatever it is, we talk about the pandemic, we know that they do stuff to create problems, okay? So when you can't get access to your cash, like in Cyprus, when they implemented austerity measures in Europe, when you can't get access to your digital money, okay, you're going to wish that you had some physical money, some God's money, some gold and silver to be able to do business with that farmer. Or be able to, if you know somebody who got some tools or some protection and they're willing to trade with you, you better have something of value. But even worst case scenario, let's say it turns out kumbaya and the world just goes to peace and love, which is very unlikely. But either then, you still have something of value and you still have real skills. So people back in the day, like you're talking about, Mike, they know how to grow their food, can food, sew their own clothing. They knew how to live off the land. They knew how to survive. They knew how to make do. The people today, they're the ones who are going to be trying to come after you because you know and you knew. So we want to help as many people as we can. And you want to make sure that you know how to get access to clean water, food, and security. But you gotta, in regards to your finances and your financial future, and you creating generational wealth, it starts with gold and silver and numismatic coins. And the best place to get started with on that journey is 7K Metals.
That's it right there, guys. So you remind me of something there, Ricardo, is what started, in the late 20s, kind of their crisis were bank runs. People trusted the banks. They put it into a bank, and then they went to get it when times got tough, It wasn't there. They had to have a bank holiday. So imagine, guys, if that happened in 1928 and 29, or I'm sorry, it was like 30, 31 after the stock market crash. What's going to happen now? We have way more people, way more dollars, you know. So this is just why we're trying to prepare you guys to be ready for what's happening right now. And one thing I want to say or show Ricardo is just like the community is we have stack and sell, guys. We can sell our assets, get cash flow, buy assets that we want. And Ricardo, you know, we were talking earlier this week and he said, Mike, you see they got that equity thing now. So you can look at a coin you scanned in to 7K Metals and see what you paid, what the market is, which is what it's actually sold for, and the equity you have in that coin. So Ricardo, this is just such a teaching point. I'm just going to use this first coin here. This is, you know, for people uneducated or who are just bullion people, they would say, oh, Mike, the silver in that coin is only worth $40 or so. When actually they would probably say, oh, silver's only $21 an ounce. All right. They don't understand premiums. They don't understand American Eagles. But let's just say it's $40. Well, this is encapsulated. It's a rare piece of artwork that's been graded and it's perfect. And it happens to have a first day issue, emergency production from San Francisco, and it has Donald Trump on the label. So this coin is worth $230, even though I only paid $119. So I can come here on Stack and Sell, and I can see, let's say I want to sell this, Ricardo. You found about this earlier, right? How fast these things sell.
Oh, God. And it sold in like less than 60 seconds. In less than 60.
Ricardo put one up for sale and it sold in like 2 minutes. He's like, Mike, I didn't even want to sell it. I just wanted to know how to do it. I'm like, yeah, bro, these things go that fast. You got to be careful. But right here we see someone's going to have to pay at least $300 to get this coin right now. And someone's asking $700. Now, I don't want to sell that coin because just my personal opinion, I think anything with Trump on it with silver is going to be worth astronomical in the future. But if I needed to, I could. And I sold, if you saw my Facebook, I sold about 6 coins this week that were duplicates for about $1,500. But again, Ricardo, this is just absolutely amazing that we have a system where we can have a home-based business, get tax write-offs, get rare and limited assets, be able to sell them for cash flow, and actually get paid to do all this. So just absolutely mind-blowing. Anything you want to add when it comes to Stack and Sell, cash flow, being able to liquidate assets that are rare pieces of artwork? Oh, wait, now we can't hear you. Nope, see if you can come back in. All right, well, Ricardo's figuring that out. Real quick, before I forget, if you guys appreciate us, support what we're doing, want to change the culture, you can always go to therunners.shop. Therunners.shop. That's where I got this t-shirt. All right. We have hoodies, mugs, women's shirts, assets over liabilities. I measure my wealth in ounces. iPhone cases, Samsung cases. Would appreciate any guys' support. That's therunners.shop. And I was going to bring this up earlier, guys. And, you know, we'll see if Ricardo gets on here again. But, guys, this is the silver chart for the last 100 years, I think. Okay. So look at this. 1931. Silver down to $5 an ounce during that Great Depression. In 1980, we hit $73. Most people just say 50 because that spike was so quick. But the all-time high of silver, you know, that was like a day when it hit 132. But really, most people say 50. But so let's just say 50. We're at $21 right now. $21. Can I hear you, Ricardo? You there? Can't hear you. And then, imagine if you would have been buying silver. And I think it's almost reversed now to where when things are good, the price goes down. So, in this area right here, we're down to $6-7. And then in 2011, after that, this depression right here with the 2008 housing market crash, silver goes back up to $50 again. And now we're sitting at $23, $21 right now. And let me look at this gold one. Oh, never mind. I don't have that pulled up right now. So just to summarize where we're at right now, guys, is we are in the fourth turning. If you guys don't know this book, I would highly recommend you read it, or at least, watch some YouTube videos on it. It's free on Audible. Really lays out what's going on. And, you can't really fight history. All you can do is learn from it. So understanding history, understanding this fourth turning we're going through, what are you going to focus on? And let me kind of bring it home here and we'll call it a night. If you want to live in fear and scarcity, you can. You can turn on any television station, go to most websites or look at most social media, and people will be there to scare you and cause you to live in scarcity. Is that really the world that you want to live in? I challenge you guys to live in abundance, to give more, to help more people, to create the world that we want to see right now. Let's see if Ricardo's back in.
Yeah, I'm back.
He's here. We did it. I just started talking about abundance and positive mindset, Ricardo, and we got you back.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I have some internet connections. I'm gonna get that straightened out.
So,
yeah, go ahead, Mike.
Let me finish my point here. Guys, the fourth turning is a time to embrace and celebrate, because this is the era that will decide the next cycle. So we get to be the ones that decide what this is. And that's why we come here every week to document what we want that to look like. We want it to look like people being free and independent. We want it to look like people coming together no matter their race, sex, culture, creed, sexuality, whatever you want to throw in there. There's no reason for this hate and division that they're implementing on us. There's no reason that we can't live in abundance. And like Ricardo said at the beginning, it always comes back to money. It's always about the money, period. Whether we're talking about hip hop, politics, trade, living, it's all about the money. And this financial system they have created from the last turning point with the Depression and World War II has enslaved us. And now is the time for us to break free and begin the Great Awakening. Ricardo, your thoughts tonight when it comes to the fourth turning, how important it is that people are getting real physical assets that have survived over the last 10,000 years.
Well, it's going to get worse before it gets better. But you can sleep better at night knowing that you're doing the best that you can. And you're staying on top of a problem that's going to affect you and your future generations to come. Because once again, it is an opportunity. We're in a crisis. But with every crisis does come an opportunity to do things that you couldn't have done before. So a lot of times where there's a lot of FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt, a lot of confusion in space, if you know how to quiet your mind and you know how to stay positive and you know that you're putting the right action and effort toward a solution to these potential problems and events that come place, you're putting yourself and giving yourself a position that, quite frankly, the masses of people just aren't doing. They're unaware of it. They don't understand it. They believe that everything is going to be fine, that things will just continue without anything drastic changing their lifestyle. I talk about it all the time, suffering from cognitive dissonance. okay, having a normalcy bias, complacency bias. That's what a lot of people have. They just assume everything is going to be great and not realizing that they're telling you we're going through a global reset. This is a resetting of the matrix, folks. All right. When Neo went to go meet the architect, he said, "You're not the first. There were 7 matrices before this. And we always cannot get rid of you because you always pop up every time." That's human ingenuity. That's the human's desire for life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, justice, freedom, and truth. They can't kill that out of you. That's a spirit they can't kill. It's like an idea. They can kill the man, but they can't kill the idea. And that idea will forever persist as long as man is alive. And so that's why they've already lost, because they can never understand that they can never win. And so this is our opportunity to make sure that wealth comes from us, even if we didn't come from wealth, and come out on the other side of this greater than we ever could have imagined. And our loved ones for generations to come will remember our names and what we have done during these times.
Absolute fire, absolute fire. Guys, this is just a little bit of how far we go, okay? So we started doing Clubhouse, and it's a blast. We just have a ball. We're able to actually say what we want. We don't have to worry about getting censored, deleted, or banned. And we get to hear from other people all around the world to connect in a community. So we'll be on Clubhouse tonight, just talking about the fourth turning, which could be about anything. We might talk about men and women. We might talk about education, history, money, finances, personal development. And really, guys, that's the takeaway we want you to get it tonight. Is no matter what's happening, the point is focus on your mindset, focus on your personal development, helping others, and building your wealth in sound assets that have been around for 10,000 years. So we'll be on Clubhouse tonight at 11, bit.ly/runnersfourth. Or if you just are connected to Ricardo and I on Clubhouse, it'll pop up in your app that we are going on. Brother, Ricardo, you had 2 just fire monologues tonight, just preaching the truth, communicating to people. Any last words before we sign off tonight?
Hey, folks, look, we're going in on Clubhouse, okay? If you find value in this information, make sure y'all like it out. Make sure y'all share it, okay? Do not feel bad for sharing and knowing and speaking the truth. They want us to feel, out of place, ostracized, or dumb for sharing what apparently is a problem and us trying to find a solution, right? So we're going to see y'all tonight on Clubhouse. If you're following me or Mike on Clubhouse, you'll get a notification when we do open up the room. But also, you did see the link for it in that flyer. So other than that, look, you're running with the runners. Lace up. Let's get wealthy. We out.